to license it.
Meep meep.
Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Matchbox Makeovers. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a very cool looking 1:64 scale Datsun 126X. These models were produced from 1973 to 1985 when it was discontinued, and mine is a Super GT model from that last production run in '85. Plastic base on the model of this one, and only one rivet in the front. In the back there's a tongue and groove clip that holds it together. I like this little Stanley model bench vise that I've got. It's adjustable in all ways with a ball joint and holds the model steady while I do this drilling work. And I actually needed to swap out the drill bit for a little bit one size up, just to catch the lip of that flange around the rivet. But once that was taken care of, it came apart, no problem at all. There's a metal suspension on this, and the wheels pop out quite easily. And as always, it's a bit of a dilemma at this stage. I look at these and try to decide if I'm going to maintain the original wheels, which would need a little bit of refurbishing, or try to clean those up. You notice there's no interior in the 126X. Not that you'd see it anyways with this blacked out windshield that I'm popping out right now. I read that these were part of a low cost run, and that's why there's no interior, saving some money. And it's got another horrible mustard yellow colored paint job, and the tampos just look cheap to me. So after I strip it down, it'll get a new two-tone paint job, and I'll try to make a decision on what to do with those wheels. So I moved the camera again back over to the bench vise, where I'm drilling out the single post. I had to swap the battery. Do a little more grunt out of my power drill now. And the yellow tape is simply a depth gauge for me, so I don't go too deep and drill right through the hood of the car. And a single screw test fit to make sure it's all good, so I don't need to do any adjustments later on after it's painted and polished and clear coated. And everything looks to be in good order right now, so it's over to the paint stripping. And I'd say I'm good for about 2 more cars before this paint stripping gel needs to be replenished. Well, that's enough to do the little Datsun. And you can see instantly the blue decals are melting away. So I don't imagine it'll be too tough to take the paint off this one. But while I wait for the chemicals to react, we'll give the very few parts and pieces here a clean up with some hot soapy water. I'm not going to have to do much to the black plastic base today. Hardly a mark on it. And if you take a close look at this blacked out windshield, there are a few marks on it. It's just been brushed up with the soapy water, but I'm going to need to give some special attention to that, and so I do, as always. If you recognize the car brand Datsun, then I've got a pretty good idea of how old you are. From 1958 to 1986, only vehicles that were exported out of Japan by Nissan were identified as Datsun. By 1986, Nissan had phased out the Datsun name, but relaunched it in June 2013 as the brand for low-cost vehicles that were manufactured for emerging markets. And Nissan would phase out the Datsun brand for the second and final time starting from 2020. After the wet sandpapering job, the windshield gets a dip in the ubiquitous floor polish. That's part of every restoration job now, and it gives it good shine and extra protection. And let's take a peek inside the paint stripping box. Yep. No troubles today. Sometimes these models put up a real fight, and I have had to leave the castings in the paint stripping gel overnight, more than once. But this was only about 30 minutes today. And we're down to the bare metal already. These forceps or hemostats get used in the paint booth, and they're always covered with the last paint job, and so when I get them into the gel, I clean those up as well and try to keep my tools looking new. So I look it over after it's been brushed up in the laundry room tub, and there's just a little bit of paint where you would expect under that rivet in the front, and I'll get a dental pick onto that and take care of any residual paint. And for me, this is an enjoyable part of the process. To the side on my workbench, I've got my iPad and some favorite tunes are playing. And while I work away at this and handle it, yeah, it gives me a little connection with the car. Some very fine steel wool. This is number 0000. And it's the final step of the bare metal detail process. And this is a good time for me to have a look for any imperfections or marks on there, and I do see a few. So some diamond files will come out, and I'll hit those couple of high spots that need some extra attention. And it's cleanup time. And while I brush off the work desk, let me say thank you for visiting my channel today. If you're enjoying this makeover video, please give it a thumbs up. And look down in the bottom right corner of your screen and you'll see a subscribe button. Hit that and become a regular visitor to my channel. And I'd be happy to hear your respectful comments that you leave below. Tell me where you're from and where you're watching this video. I think it's cool how we've connected in this online hobby community. You're here because we share a common interest. So, that's one way we can get to know each other a little bit better. And I use my DIY spray booth that you saw a moment ago. I'm kind of pressed for space on my workbench, and this is a 60-liter plastic storage tub on its side. And there's the top that I can pop on when the paint is wet. So I can set this up and then remove it when I don't need it, because I really don't have a lot of space side to side, and this is one way to maximize the small area that I've got. And today's color application is metallic gold, which is a big step up from that pasty yellow that was part of the original casting. And this has just got a nice little bit of a fleck in it that will reflect in the sun. in this particular casting lends itself well to a two-tone paint job. So some careful masking around the metallic fleck, and you'll see the back engine cover as well as a strip on the front hood have been done in matte black, and then I hit the matte black with a kind of a reflective glitter spray as well to bring out a better match with the metallic gold. And I think that's a striking contrast. And I did change the wheels, as you can see now, with a sort of a gold spoke package, and I think that fits the paint job, don't you? This was just a concept car that was made by Datsun in 1973, debuted at the auto show. Only one was ever produced, and it's not even certain whether or not this was roadworthy, and I can understand, because when you look at the side profile, can you imagine a driver in there? I would have a hard time seeing out over the hood. So it's just a Matchbox model. And I like to customize a license plate, makeover number 43. And you can get a look around. It's actually a 4-seater, believe it or not. And that wedge-shaped design was popular with the concept cars of the day. And it does make for a striking looking model. Although this original colored paint job and the decals were tacky, not striking looking, and they needed some help. And I think it got a classy upgrade with the paint job, two-tone, and the wheel swap. Pretty cool. Thanks for visiting today. Give this one a thumbs up if you're so inclined, and come back again. It's coffee time.